And I want to bring into this conversation the retired four-star General Joseph Votel, former commander of U.S. Special Operations Command and U.S. Central Command. Notably, he is now a distinguished senior fellow on national security at the Middle East Institute. We appreciate your being with us, General. Obviously, you have a unique perspective on everything that we're seeing right now. If you can help us get a better understanding of what we are seeing in these pictures right now, multiple bright flares that appear to be raining down or floating above parts of northern Gaza right now. Can you tell us what we are witnessing?
Sure, thanks. And it's great to be with you. So, what you're looking at right here with these flares, I mean, military organizations use flares in these situations to provide artificial illumination of the battlefield so they can kind of see what is going on. One is to kind of see the reaction of the adversary, in this case Hamas, but also to help with their own targeting. If they're doing indirect fires, if they're doing airstrikes, if they're employing direct fire, this additional illumination helps them to make sure that they're directing that onto the targets that they're trying to create effects on.
General Votel, can you help us understand? The IDF within the last couple of hours said they have now surrounded Gaza City. They have said repeatedly that that is, like other parts of Gaza, a Hamas stronghold. How significant is this moment that we are witnessing in this war, this now ground offensive by the Israelis? And what should we anticipate the next several days to look like?
Sure. So, isolation of an objective area is an important step in any offensive operation, and that's essentially what we're seeing here. So they've closed in around the city and on a variety of different approaches here to gain kind of a tactical advantage, control the entry and exit points into the city, and allow themselves to to be poised for what comes next. And of course, this is the more challenging part of the operation. Most of the organizations that we're seeing here are probably armor organizations, tanks, infantry, and I think in some of the footage earlier you saw the presence of some bulldozers, so some engineers and others. These are the types of forces that will be up here right around the city that will be necessary as they actually begin operations moving into Gaza City itself. And of course, this will be the kickoff point for what will be the most difficult part of this. This is the building by building, street by street, tunnel by tunnel, floor by floor clearing and movement of this through this area that will be necessary to gain control by the Israeli forces.
General Votel, stay with me for a moment. I'm going to come right back to you. I just want to take a moment for those of us who are joining us right now on Meet the Press Now. We are looking at live pictures. This is happening as we speak. This is just inside Gaza, where it is 6 hours ahead of the East Coast here, 10:15 p.m., so after dark, but the skies have been illuminated by a series of explosions, as you just saw on the left side of your screen, and what appear to be a series of different flares as well. And General Votel, who joins us, formerly the commander who headed up U.S. Central Command, he's watching with us. General Votel, we were just seeing as we watched this, and we really are relying on your expertise, when it got dark and all of a sudden we saw those bright lights heading toward the ground. Are those more of those flares? Are those targeted strikes? What are we seeing?
I think what you're looking at, the yellow light, is a flare, and they can be launched through a variety of different means, and they have a burn rate, and you'll see that they'll continue to put them up one right after the other to continue to provide them some illumination. So what you're not actually looking at there, that bright light isn't exactly
understood.
It's artificial light.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me ask you, if I can, very quickly, and I appreciate your being with us as we continue with this live coverage right now. Clearly, the Israeli Defense Forces face a very unique challenge. They are going into densely populated areas, 2 million Palestinians who live inside of a land area that is only 25 miles from its southern border with Egypt to the northern border with Israel. It's only a matter of miles from east to west between the Mediterranean Sea and Israel now. And in this effort, as they come across Hamas militants, Hamas terrorists, they are also dealing with underground tunnels, and at the same time they are trying to find what is believed to be more than 240 hostages, including some Americans. How does that complicate this effort not to harm those hostages they are trying to find, while also having to deal with tunnels beneath them, some of which are more than 60 feet below ground?
Well, this is exactly the height of complexity right here. I mean, as you pointed out, this is three-dimensional terrain, and you're entering into the most dense portion of it. And of course, you've got hospitals. So the way that the Israelis will do this is to move as deliberately as they can into buildings and down streets, and as they move through the city here, always being on the lookout for where there may be locations where hostages may be, but also staying principally focused on Hamas fighters and trying to eliminate that threat. Clearly, the intelligence is really important here, and that will complement a lot of what they are going to be doing in the next several days, certainly.
I want to follow up and ask you a little bit more about that intelligence, but if I can for a minute, if you were advising the Israeli Defense Forces right now, given the criticism we have seen from protesters within the United States, from other certainly countries within the Arab world right now, what, if anything, would you be telling the Israelis to do differently? Obviously, so much of the focus has been on the casualties among civilians right now. Israel says that they have given warnings in those communities, including in refugee camps, that some of them were leaflets that were dropped multiple weeks ago, several weeks ago, and yet the casualty count grows. Israel says it's the only means by which they can target these Hamas terrorists in these areas where they're using these civilians as human shields.
Sure. So, another dimension of the fight here is the information domain. And, if I was to offer some thoughts or some advice to the Israeli Defense Forces, it would be to make sure you're paying attention to this. They're addressing a variety of audiences, their own citizens, the Jewish diaspora, international partners, people in the region, their adversaries. So it is really important for them to communicate clearly about what they're doing. We talked about, referenced the strikes earlier in this week, clearly highlighting the value of those strikes versus the risk that we're exposing to civilians. It's an important thing for them to address, and of course they need to work closely with the international community as much as they can to support humanitarian efforts to help the innocent Palestinians who themselves are kind of being held hostage by Hamas not get caught up in this fighting.
Well, to the point that you make, we've heard from the United Nations, among others, saying that the hospitals and that the Gazan people right now are running dangerously low on fuel. NBC News is reporting, based on information from multiple U.S. And current and former Israeli officials, that Hamas has been stockpiling, hoarding more than 200,000 gallons of fuel, a lot of it to be used to help launch their rockets, also to run the generators that provide oxygen to the underground tunnels right now. So this is, as you say, this is the height of complexity in terms of a war effort.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.